And I believe we're streaming live. So, good morning. Hello, LinkedIn. Welcome to Talk About TV. I am your host, Michelle Oliver. And Talk About TV, we talk about all things experiential outdoor hospitality. And every Wednesday, we come to you with what you don't know about blank in outdoor hospitality. And today I'm so pleased to have Mike Harrison with CRR Hospitality. And we're going to talk about what you don't know about third-party management. And that could be for your glamping resort, your RV resort, your name it. You guys can manage it. And I can attest to that. So, welcome, Mike. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Michelle. We're very excited.
Yeah, it's delightful. We haven't talked in a while, so let's just kick it off. Talk to me. What do you think people don't know about using a third-party management company? And maybe you could give an example and start with an RV resort or a glamping resort or what have you.
Absolutely. I'll just give a brief introduction. My name is Mike Harrison. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of CRR Hospitality. You can look us up, www.crrhospitality.com. We own and manage all of our own properties, and we have award-winning upscale luxury RV resort properties with glamping. And we also have storage facilities, RV storage, self-storage, and car washes, and manufactured home neighborhoods. And so we also do third-party management for other owners as well. And so, what do people not know about third-party management? There's several topics I think we could talk about. But really the benefit is, if you are new to the industry, a lot of times if you're trying to get a bank loan, banks will require you to have a, professional third-party management services in order to extend the loan to you. If you're looking to build a fund, or if you just don't have experience and, want to make sure that you get the best out of your investment, clearly the professional services that maximize, the revenue and profit for you is what a third-party management company can do. And the other reason why people would do it is, hey, I want to retire. I don't want to do it. I have other businesses. I have other investments, and I don't have time for it. And so, they hand it off to a third-party manager to run. So
Yeah.
those are the reasons.
I'm just going to comment really quickly here because every few months I notice that you are getting another award. And that is largely due, of course, the accommodations and the locations and the properties themselves are wonderful, but it's largely due to your operations and the way you're managing those properties. And I think there's probably a whole list of things that people don't know when they purchase an RV resort and they get in there. I mean, I hear these stories several times a week. We just didn't know what we learned in the first 3 years, right? And it's so much more complex than you might imagine. So what is the first thing you do when you come onto a property? Curious, like if they're asking you come evaluate it or just jump in
Absolutely.
and take over.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we had the same thing. We started this business 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and we learned trial by fire. Our entire leadership team comes from the hospitality, the hotel world.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of experience in the hospitality world and systems and delivering outstanding experiences. But our ownership did not. And
Yeah.
so we had to find as we went, so to speak, and all of our properties were actually ground up. So that's the best way to find out, what you don't know. But
Oh
whether
my
it's
gosh.
development, whether it's a new property development or whether it's an existing property, the first thing we always start with is top line, meaning, we look at the market data and we look at the revenue stream, and we understand, where is the property positioned in the market? Where can they compete? What are they great at? Who's their customer? What is the untapped source of business? What are the demand factors? Are they positive? Are they negative? Where are they trending? What the property's condition is, what their reputation management scores are, how's their social media engagement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, we'll call that market positioning, is the very, very first thing we look at.
Yeah.
And then after we, look at the market positioning, we take a look at, we'll call it all top line revenue, but, the sales effort and the marketing effort. A lot of people say, aren't they the same? And, I do a lot of speaking, and I try and educate people. No, they're not the same at all, right? Marketing is the presentation of your brand, to the outside world, and sales is the action to drive business. And they're two very, very different functions, and you need to be specialized in each, to
Okay.
make sure that you're doing that. So
And not
sales,
fight against each other, which is
exactly right. Make sure
which
there's
is an
harmony.
old an
Yeah,
old habit of the two
it
fellows.
is. And so sales, marketing, and revenue management are kind of the three pillars of the top line stool,
Yeah.
right? So we'll look at marketing and we'll understand, what channels are they leveraging. And, in the RV business, it's very different than the hotel business. The hotel business, if you're Marriott, people go on Marriott.com to find you. They go in Expedia, right? There's one place that everybody can go to find a hotel. It's very easy.
Yeah.
With, the glamping and the RV resort world, there isn't one place. There's 40, right? And they go to, Campendium, they go to Google, they go to Good Sam, they go to Camp Spot Marketplace, they go to RV Life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so you need to understand what channels that you are leveraging, and where you need to be positioned and out in the public.
Mhm.
You need to assess your brand, and, what your brand looks like and how you're representing yourself, and, what your brand positioning is. Is your logo effective? Is your website been updated? We were looking at a website that was, probably maybe it was the original website from when the internet was built, 25 years ago.
Yeah,
Pictures were all pixelated, and that's what your customers are seeing. And that's okay. I mean, the industry has evolved, right? It was a very antiquated industry, but it's, we need to make sure that the properties have evolved into what the customers expect, which is Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and mobile bookings and
that's
all
right.
those things. So we want to understand their marketing positioning.
Mm.
After that, we'll understand kind of how are they selling, what kind of promos are they running, who are they talking to, are they looking at influencers, what's their direct sales effort looking for, do they have groups, etc. And then after that, we'll look at the revenue management and what their rate matrices are, what's their mix, long term versus short term, what their rate positioning is against the comp set. Are they using dynamic pricing or any kind of yield strategies on hot dates? Or do they have different, variegated site types? Are they charging fees? Are they looking at ancillary revenues? etc. So that's kind of, to answer your question, a long answer for a short question, which is that's the very first thing we'll do, whether it's a development or an acquisition, is what's your top line position look like?
Yeah, well, that's, when you say et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that's kind of the story of this business, right? You can't just say, and I think people get into it thinking, oh, it's just an RV resort or it's just a little campground. And it's like any business, to be honest, though, you just don't know until you're on the inside. So if you can leverage someone else's, like you're saying, 8 years of trial by fire, and now you're clearly an expert. I've stayed at your properties a couple of times, and I mean, you just know it when the property is being managed in an extraordinary fashion, because you don't notice. You just kind of glide through, you have the experience that you hope to have, and there are no obstacles to inform you that this is not working right. So it's a lot. What comes after that? I mean, I know that's a big
Yep.
piece, and it's like bird's eye view vision. And also what comes to my mind is when you're meeting with someone, all of a sudden they become cognizant of the business model that you are imparting to them, because it's not just, hey, marketing or sales, it's a
So
complete business
yeah, and
operation.
that's a great segue. You brought up 2 points there that I want to touch on. One is the business model, and the other one's the hospitality experience. And so I think, after we get through the top line positioning, we look at the business modeling. And one of the biggest mistakes that we see, especially with a buyer and a developer, whether you're buying, you're acquiring an existing property or you're developing, is there's not an understanding of the difference between a long-term park, which is more like an MH, manufactured home community type resort property, and a transient property. And so many people who are acquiring and developing are thinking solely in a transient mindset. And we made the same mistake years ago. We really didn't understand, when you looked at ELSs or Suns numbers in the South in Florida. Hey, we ran 98% occupancy, and that's what we did for the year. And so a lot of developers or buyers are looking at this going, we can run 98%, but what they don't understand is that's 98% because 95% of those are been living there for 25 years, really as like a more of an MH community as opposed to an RV
Right.
or glamping property. And
Yeah.
so, the owner or developer needs to understand what their mix is going to be, how much long-term they're going to have, how much transient, and make sure the amenities are set up and staffing is set up, excuse me, appropriately, because it'll also determine what your ADR and your occupancy are going to be based on, what that, factor is in the market, the demand will tell you, what your mix will be.
Right.
So, we look at that first, and then we start looking at the modeling of, what is the appropriate expense model? If this is an upscale or they want to have a higher end deliverable, well, then there's additional expenses that go along with that, enhanced labor models, activities programming, those kinds of things. But we'll go through, kind of a pro forma or a P&L and take a look at the expenses. Are they reasonable? What kind of assumptions are they using? And almost inevitably, we find that people don't account for certain expenses. Hey, where's your credit card
Right.
fees?
Oh
Oh,
my
what do you
gosh.
mean? Yeah, it's 3%. Hey,
Oh,
they have $10,000 in marketing for the whole year and it's a new property. Like, you should
yeah.
probably put, 3 or 4 or 5% of your total revenues, which is more like 60, 70, 80 grand, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the property. Hey, where's your IT fees? Well, what do you mean? Well, you got to make sure you got, Microsoft platforms and you have security and, CrowdStrike and make sure that you're protected against, phishing and, hey, where's your, et cetera, et cetera. There's numerous, expenses that unfortunately it adds to the model that you want to make sure that people account for, that we review and make sure that they're, taking part of. And then for us, we have certain proprietary platforms that we use as well to help manage the business remotely and also drive efficiency. We have a reputation management platform. We can respond to every review from one place. There's so
Fantastic.
many sites, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
Yahoo or Google or TripAdvisor or Campendium, it aggregates them all and you can respond in one place. It saves time for your GM and you can see them all and respond to them. And it also sends out surveys to every single guest, which is kind of unusual in the RV. It's very usual in the hotel industry. In the RV
Yes.
industry, it's extremely abnormal, but it gives us more information from a guest service standpoint as opposed to just the Google review.
Yeah.
25 question survey about the satisfaction, any problems experienced, what amenities did you like? Did you have any problem? Blah, blah, blah. We use preventive maintenance software, that, tracks our work orders so that we make sure we follow up on any guest requests, but it also is a preventive maintenance system so that we make sure we're changing our AC filters or painting our cabins, touching up our cabins every 6 months or, whatever it may be to protect the asset. We have our own proprietary reporting platforms. And so there's those kinds of things that we model in as well so that the owner can also, look at it remotely and doesn't have to be there every day. So that was the answer to, one of your
Fantastic.
questions.
That's fantastic. Sorry, did I interrupt you? What did you
Well, no, I
just?
was going to go to the experiential hospitality, but I want to take a breath to see if
Oh, yeah, take a quick breath. And that's my favorite part, of course, everyone's favorite fun part. But what I was going to say is that we are such demanding guests. We're so savvy, and in this day and age, we expect all of this stuff. Like we expect not to have to think about any of these things, which means you, as a property owner, better be thinking about them. And it's so much, and in this kind of do-it-yourself world where oftentimes people, like especially if you have one property or two or three, you're doing a lot of it yourself and you will be missing. I mean, look at all the things you just kind of rattled off, and that's top level. That's not getting in there and implementing and executing on all of it. So it's a new world, everyone. Anyone who's watching this, I highly recommend you have a conversation with Mike. But let's talk about the fun part now. And you can't really do the fun part well if you don't have this other foundation, because you'll be distracted by all the basic things that are holding you up as a guest not to have that experience. Okay, here we go.
yeah.
Experiential.
So I think part of what our expectation is we use tools, a lot of those that I just described, to
Yeah,
make our life more efficient so that we
yes,
can hone in on the guest experience, right? We're nerds. right? And I think that's, one of the things that sets us apart is we analyze everything and we want to understand, what are the customers asking for? What are our, consistent top problems at a property? And that's how you really, hone in your guest experience is
Yeah.
that which gets measured gets made, right? And so, what a lot of I described was the tool part, so you can analyze your business. But the other part is good old hospitality, which I think a lot of people forget is that's what we're doing. I think this business is very transactional for a lot of years. And as you said, more and more new customers are coming into this, and a lot of them are the younger generations who have higher expectations, who are more modern. And so, I heard, once a long time ago, a different company I work with, you want it to be a place to go to and not through, right? And you want, and
Absolutely.
you had used the word, you want when you described our properties, and I appreciate, the kudos, but you just want it to work. And so I have used that analogy forever that our property cannot be a distraction to the customer, right?
Yeah,
Because the minute their pedestal doesn't work, or their water spigot is broken, or the bathroom, the clubhouse is out of order, you've now become an impediment to their stay, and they've got to focus on something other than what they're doing. Number one,
exactly. And you remember those things.
sure. And
I
number
mean,
so
our brains are just designed to remember the problems. So
Sure.
you
And
must
it's
mitigate that.
emotional. And so our approach
Exactly.
is you reduce the distractions and
Yes.
you make sure that the enhancements are evident, right? So the distractions are the problem solving, et cetera. The enhancements are, what are all the things that you do that are unique, the experiential hospitality? What kind of activities are you doing? Do you have a unique haunted trail for Halloween? Do you have personalized notes at check-in in your glamping spots? Does your property have its own unique DNA, signature to it? For example, in Savannah, every one of our properties has 3 DNA words that identify it. That's unique to it, just like DNA is unique to a human. And so Savannah's is Southern hospitality, natural, and casual. So if you were to look at their Facebook page or their website, their language and their communication and the tone of their voice, their brand, is with that Southern hospitality casual. Hey y'all, we got Gertie the gator. It's one of those inflatable, gator costumes, and you
Yeah.
know, Gertie tried to go through the dog tunnel and she got stuck. Gertie's answering the phone at the club. But that's the
Oh, that's
tone
so
voice
fun.
of that property. They had, the range we border, our property is adjacent to the Savannah Wildlife Refuge. So they bring the ranger over once a month to talk about, wildlife and fauna and nature. And that fits with our natural, DNA words. So that's
Right.
the enhancement part, of the experiential hospitality. And the third part is the associate, because it doesn't matter if you don't have somebody there who cares. And
So
so
true.
we really focus on hiring the right person. We don't care if they don't have front desk experience. We really, are they good people?
Yeah.
And that's where we start with. And, we were just named Arizona top place to work again for 2 years in a row.
Oh gosh, that says, I'm going to
Proud
interject
of.
because
Yeah.
that's huge. That 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 is everything in to me. I mean, I know it all matters, but honestly, I've stayed in some very stunning properties where I don't know how they fall down on this, where the people are just not carrying the energy, and it really is. I love that you say that you don't care what their experience, like so many things can be taught, but that true heart for hospitality, it's kind of hard to teach it. You can mentor it, you can, model it, but when you find the right person, they can learn anything. So congratulations on that. That
Thank you.
is tremendous.
We're
Means you
very proud of
so
that. We hire the GMs. The GMs lead our culture, right? And
yeah,
one of the things I like to say is, you're looking for the associate who's going to help an elderly lady across the street because who they are, right?
that's
And to your point, that is not trainable. You can
yeah.
teach them to keep an eye out for grandma, but the person who does it doesn't need to be taught. They know, oh, let me hold that door for you, right? And if you hire someone who's nice, who cares, who has empathy, who has passion, everything else is going to work, right? And we won Property of the Year for the country at one of our properties,
Wow.
for Ojai a couple of years ago, and we turned over the GM unfortunately 3 times that year through various circumstances. But the reason we won is because of the associates, right? We have people on property who care, who love what they do, they love the people, they love who they work with, they take passion, in what they do, and that's you can only train so much.
That's
Um,
exactly right. I mean, it baffles me often to encounter just at restaurants and hotels where there's no eye contact and they just kind of walk by. So they've been trained to do their job and guaranteed that every guest is having a desire for something at any given moment. So to just go about the job you were trained in and not be connecting at I mean, it's the old Disneyland thing, right? Like
Well,
acknowledge, like notice your surroundings and acknowledge and smile and engage. It's so simple.
you're 100% right. There's a lot, my staff makes fun of me. I have a lot of Mike Harrisonisms.
Oh, awesome. Give us
So
some.
one of them
Share.
I say is it a transaction or is it an interaction, right?
Oh,
At
wonderful.
McDonald's, right? Hey, I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese. That'll be $5, please. You exchange money. That's a transaction. An
Exactly.
interaction is what you just described, which is you acknowledge, you make eye contact, you smile, you get to know the customer, and you understand how can you make your experience better. That's an interaction. And
Yeah.
you're right. There's a lot of people that do transactions, and you say, what do you not know about third party management? This is the hardest part of what we do. The hardest part is the
Oh,
staffing, the recruiting, the hiring, the firing, the training, finding people. And that's the hardest thing for any property to do. So that's, when you're experts in it, doesn't mean we're perfect in it. I
yeah,
mean, Arizona has the lowest unemployment rate they've had in 40 years. So do we have openings? Of course we do.
really?
Oh, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
No, it's not if you're an employer.
Well, it's good for the employed. So I'm
Yes.
so surprised about that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you could probably recruit some people from Northern Colorado anyway.
Yeah. Well, come make the drive. It's only 116 degrees here today.
Yeah,
Um,
not a good time to recruit.
but I think that's where, you know, really what makes the business at the end of the day after you open it is the people. And the long-term health of the business is going to be on your reputation management. The Google score is probably the number one indicator of the business success. And that's driven by the people, which is the hardest part of what we do.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a beautiful job of it, every aspect of it. And like I said, I've experienced it. And anybody who's watching this, please reach out to Mike. Like you're so great and easy to talk to and upbeat and positive. And even if you just have some questions, I don't know if you welcome that, but I'm sending everybody to your phone. Give Mike a call and he'll talk you through wherever you need to be and how they can best be of service to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk to anybody, even if
Yeah.
you just have a question. I love to help people and see what we can do to provide resources for them. I'll put up on the screen here if I can share my screen for a second. Let's see, share. All right. So Michelle, are you seeing
Not
a
yet. Oh, there we go. Here we go.
QR code?
Starting to share, but here we go. Yes, there we go. QR code. That's awesome. So you can take
Oh,
a picture of this screen here or just kind of hone in on the QR code and that will open wherever it goes to your
it goes
website
to
or
our
your
website. So if somebody
okay,
wants to reach out to us, they can shoot me an email, they can go to our LinkedIn, they can, scan the QR code, whatever they want to do. I'm happy to help.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know you are very generous with your time. I see you showing up all over the place. So that is part of your heart of hospitality, and I just appreciate who you are. Mike, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Stay in the air conditioning, and I'll think of you under the cloudy skies of Colorado this afternoon when it starts to sprinkle.
Wish I was there. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Have a great day.